Hey, welcome guys. Welcome to the OC MOA Roadshow. And my name is Tim and I will be your host tonight along with Trouffman. Hey Trouffman, how's it going?
Hi, Xyala. Doing great, doing great.
Yeah, good, good. So for you it is 8 p.m., right? And
Yeah,
for me it is 2 a.m.
2 a.m. or
So
1 a.m. It's a bit confusing because I do live in Montreal and you usually live in Taipei, Taiwan, but you're now in.
I'm in France right now and I was talking with some guys on the chat and I'm actually feeling less alone at 2 a.m. because some of the guys are actually still up waiting for the show. So this is pretty awesome.
Thank you guys for being here and watching this.
Yeah, so this Road to MOA show is the second episode. So if you have missed the one from last week, check over on our YouTube channel. This episode is about the America qualifiers that ended a few days ago, actually. And we are going to recap all that, go through the scores, and update on how everything went for those qualifiers. And after that, what we are going to do is same as last week, another giveaway, announce the winner of last week's giveaway as well, and yeah, show you a few more things, especially MOA gear related stuff. So, Chuffman, can you maybe just remind us quickly what is the MSI MOA as a competition?
So the MSI MOA is the worldwide competitions. This competition has been running for 7 years now. That's the seventh time. That was actually one of the things that was asked during the giveaway, like these questions.
It is true.
By the way, this MOA this year, the 2014, will crowd the best overclocker in the world that do qualify online. So we'll go back to a bit more about the qualification process. As we say in last week's show, there is qualification all over the world that you can get into these competitions. So Timothée. What do you think so far, without saying who won this round, what do you think so far about this competition briefly?
I mean, seriously, it's been so far it's been a pretty cool competition. I actually really like I was saying last week, the fact that we have two class competitions. So with a class A and a class B, where people with different budgets can actually compete right in the competition. So it gives a chance for someone with a setup that is 6 months to 1 year old, like with Z87, for example, to enter the competition and still try to qualify for the MOA. On the other side, Class A is, from what we've seen so far in the scores that have been submitted to the American qualifier, a very high profile selection class. And here we are truly looking at the best talents out there in terms of extreme overclocking.
So let's check out what is the MOA and how did MSI announce that, and we come back in a few seconds.
All right, welcome back, guys. So MSI is a company, as you could see, that is making motherboards, graphics cards, and yeah, all those components that we use for rigs. Maybe you guys already heard about the brand because MSI is also sponsoring gaming teams such as the Fnatic gaming team and things like that. Trouffman, can you quickly run us through what is the MOA competition? What is the purpose of this competition?
So as we said, this competition is to award the best overclocker in the world. By saying that, there is qualification all over the world that will select the best guy and find out who is the best out of the best to overclock MSI hardware. So
yeah, that's a lot of best in one sentence.
yeah, but that's the best of the best of the best that do compete on MSI hardware. Actually,
it is true. That's right.
So there is a few qualification, as we were talking last week. There is the Class A and Class B. I will let you, Tim, go over that. I will switch back to you on the things.
All right. So, like I was saying last week, so we have a Class A and B, and A is being for most recent hardware, which is using the latest flagship motherboards from MSI and the latest chipsets, of course, Z97. So this Class A qualifiers for people that are really looking for the highest performance you could get on hardware. And if we're looking at the Class B, which is a class of qualifier that is running in parallel to the other three qualifiers, Class B is actually requiring less entry requirements. It is so easier to enter to, and also ask for different skill sets because the benchmarks required to qualify are different.
So yes, indeed, as the different benchmark you can have, there was a different benchmark, but different hardware also. So Class A was top high-end hardware you need to use to qualify, and the Class B you could actually use some regular hardware that were available on the market. Along with that, the price point required to compete in this competition was somewhere close to $1,500 if you count the complete system for Class A, and it can be as low as 600 USD, almost price point for the Class B competition. So it was actually quite interesting to see the different guys that did compete in this competition. And actually, in this show, we will be commenting on who won the Class A America. One last point is, as you see on this side of the live, Timothée went through there's America, EMEA, APAC, and worldwide. Today we will be focusing on Class A America result, as well as Class A EMEA ongoing. This is still going, it's not final. APAC just started few days ago, and the Class B is right in the middle of what the guys can do.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, since we are talking about qualification and hardware requirements, we can also touch a few words about what you win if you qualify. If you qualify, you actually win a ticket, and every regions offers a different amount of tickets for the worldwide finals. So the worldwide finals have not been announced yet, but what we know is that there's going to be 4 overclockers from America, there's going to be 6 overclockers from the Europe and Middle East regions and Africa, and there will be 5 overclockers for the whole Asia, APAC region, so including Australia as well in there. In terms of Class B here, because the requirements are quite different, there are 3 extra seats that are given for that, plus last year's winner of the MOA is going to have a free seat to actually prove himself again in front of everyone at the worldwide finals.
So actually, Tolsty was the one that won last year, and these guys didn't have to compete in the qualification. He get straight to the final. It's like a boxing. It's like you won, yes, but then next year you have to defend yourself to keep the title with you.
Exactly. So in terms of qualifier dates, the American qualifiers are now over since 3 days, but still right now are running the EMEA qualifiers as well as the APAC qualifiers. So EMEA is going to finish in about 2 weeks from now, and APS is going to finish at the end of August. In terms of Class B has already started. It actually started at the exact same time as the American qualifier started. And they will be finishing at the end of August as well, with some of the benchmark actually finishing in 2 weeks at the same time as Europe is going to end up.
So that's going to be actually focusing with our shows, right? We will have different shows pretty much after each of these end of the round, end of the qualifiers.
Exactly. We're gonna have one more show, which is going to be actually on the 16th of August, so right when the Europe qualifiers are going to end. So this show is going to be mainly focusing on the European qualifiers, with who won and what were the submissions, and in terms of scoring, how those scores relate or can be compared to the ones achieved by the guys in America. And then there will be another show by the end of August that is going to recap APS-C and the end of Class B. And then after all of this, so 2 weeks later, probably halfway through September, we'll go schedule another show where we're going to go through all the qualified guys for the MOA, take a look take a look at the profile and see who those guys are and how good they are and things like that.
What happened in the past? Actually, what happened in the past 2 months to get the qualification going?
Exactly.
Let's take a quick break, just a few seconds, and then we come back later with the announcing of the result of the Class A qualifiers, and we do actually some special interview for you guys with one of the contestants in this competition.
MSI Gaming. Graphics cards forged in the fire. Unmatched balance of all characteristics. The perfect combination of performance and value. Embarrassingly low noise. Complete control of the graphics card in a single click using the exclusive utility gaming app. MSI Gaming is a fiery dragon soul. MSI Gaming is the graphics card designed for true gamers and possesses unique technologies. Most MSI gaming graphics cards come pre-overclocked out of the factory. This simply means you get more performance out of your card without spending any time on checking for maximum clocks and stability. Pre-overclocked graphics cards simply give more performance, and you don't have to worry about damaging your card, as it is completely covered by our warranty.
Alright, welcome back guys, and now we are going to have a look at the Class A America qualifiers. So those qualifiers ended up a few days ago, and actually 8 overclockers entered those qualifiers. This is just showing how actually hard and challenging it is to enter those qualifiers, and make sure to actually be able to compete for a seat. So among those 8 overclockers, there were 4 countries represented. So there were Brazil, the USA, Argentina, as well as Canada.
Canada!
Yeah. So Truff, there's some people from around your place, right?
Yeah, actually there is one guy from Canada that did compete. So as a newly Canadian resident, I do cheer for them.
Yeah, it's right. You have to cheer for where you live. It makes sense. Well, for myself, since I'm not living in America, I was just cheering for Brazil because I really love the guys from Brazil. So, so yeah. So in terms of overclockers that participated, we had Arbuas, we had Mike CDM, Nacho Arroyo, Gunslinger, Nidao Redmax, which is also known as the host of Hardware Asylum podcast, Dark Venom, and For the Win.
So yeah, indeed. So these are the guys that do participate in Class A America. to be able to compete in this qualification, they had to use some special hardware. They had to use a Z97 mainboard from MSI. So that was the first requirement. They had to use only one CPU and a desktop CPU. So the need was they need to use one CPU that they can buy in a shop, and that it's not a server grade CPU. Although
so actually everything, right? All the hardware is pretty much retail.
No, all the hardware for the qualification is retail. Everything that that you need to qualify, that to compete to qualify, are available on the market always. That's always a requirement, and it needs to be available on the market to be completely, open for everyone. Then, because otherwise, if it's only some part of the world that can compete, it's not fun. Yeah. So these guys had to use a D97 mainboard from MSI. They had to use one CPU and a CPU available in the retail channel. They had to use one graphic cards, actually a graphic cards with one GPU from the R9 series. So most of the guys were using the R9 290X VGA card. And also all of that, there's a few limitations that it's only one guy per countries. You need to use a background and stuff like this. But otherwise, memory was open to anyone. Your hard drive or SSD was open to any brand you want, as well as your cooling, and actually cooling was all for everyone. The LN2 and PSU was open.
Yeah, of course, it's an extreme competition. So if you were not using LN2, there were very little chances to actually rank anywhere near the top. So Trouffman, who won that competition actually?
So it's quite there's 4 winners because there's 4 seats. But we will focus on each of the scores, so we can actually say that these 4 guys just won. So Herboas, Mike CDA, Nacho Arroyo, and Gunslinger. So that's quite interesting to see that Herboas is from Brazil. Mike CDM is from the US, as well as Gunslinger, and Nacho Arroyo is from Argentina.
Okay, all right. So you were saying before there were limitations to how many overclockers per country. So here we have, for example, 2 overclockers from the USA. How is that going to work out?
The MSI made the choice to allow the USA to be split in 2. So that's pretty much like the Hockey League. So East can qualify one guy, and East can qualify West and East can qualify each of them. Yeah, each of them can qualify one guy. So actually, all these 4 guys will go to the final, where we don't know yet. When we don't know yet.
Okay, well, we actually know, but we can't tell. All right, so maybe we could have a look. I think we should have a look at the scores, because if we think about ranking, the way every overclocker were ranked is according to the results they got in the 3 benchmarks. So for Class A, we have a SuperPy 32M, which is a CPU benchmark, 3D Mark 03, and Heaven DirectX 11. So those ones are both 3D benchmarks.
Yes,
right.
Indeed. So actually, there is as you say, there were 3 benchmarks. We did compile some of the information to give you some insight. Timothy, what was interesting about Herboas? Because I do think it did some pretty great scores, and actually did pretty great about this competition.
Yeah, I think actually, Herboas had a pretty strong MOA qualifications. Overall, Herboas is quite famous for his results in 3D, especially everything that is related to extreme hard modding, zombie-style graphics cards that are capable of just insane stuff. And he just proved it again in those qualifiers that he really truly knows what he's talking about. So let's focus first on SuperPy 32M, and here for that benchmark. So Herboas was running his CPU at 6.214 megahertz. So this is a 77.54% overclock.
So actually, on SuperPy 32M, for the guys that do not know exactly what this is all about, it's a benchmark. You need to calculate some like the pi number and 32 million number after the comma. Basically, it's mostly based on CPU frequency and memory frequency. So overall, if we check the frequency about the number 1 and number 2, that is Airbus and MaxCDM, they are quite close. As we can see right there, they are both at 6.2 gigahertz on their CPU, and the memory frequency is actually quite interesting to see.
Indeed, there's only 14 megahertz in between both, right? So it's really not much.
And the on the memory frequency, MaxCDM have a higher memory frequency but a lower score. So you say, oh, okay, but Trouffman just say that you need CPU frequency and memory frequency to win. It's like, yes, but there is tweaking, and tweaking is the way you modify or adapt your operating system. It's usually Windows XP or any others depending on the benchmark. The way you tune that, so you can make some change, stop some services, stop some application running in the background. So once you have all that, we call that tweak. And the highest tweak you get, the fastest you go. So even with a lower memory frequency, it can still reach better scores.
Oh, I see. So in terms of so frequencies and scores, so you said most of the top guys, like the top 3, were running at way over or slightly over 6 gigahertz. Still, like for example, if we look at Gunslinger, he was running at just below 6 gigahertz, and his memory frequency is like maybe the second or third highest with 1.33. So yeah, that's really that joins back with what you were saying in terms of efficiency and things like that, right?
And actually, efficiency is quite interesting. If we look at Gunslinger's score, that is like 5 minutes 20 seconds. It was at 6 gigahertz on the CPU and 1.3 gigahertz on the memory. And if we look at RedMax, it was actually at 1.3 gigahertz on the memory and 6 gigahertz on the CPU, but his final score is 5 minutes 27 seconds. So there is 7 seconds slower than someone that have the same computer and the same setting as him. So that's actually quite interesting to see this kind of setup. So we can say that Gunslinger is the better tweaker than RedMax.
Yeah, that's how it works. So now let's move on to the 3D benchmark. So here, when we are talking about 3D, each 3D benchmark is actually very different, and some benchmarks, for example, still involve quite a bit of CPU in terms of how the scores are impacted by the frequencies, but most of them still the biggest weight in terms of score is implications is the GPU frequency as well as the graphics memory. So this is pretty much the RAM you have on your graphics card.
So as well as if we look once again on the details about that scores, the CPU frequency, everyone was pretty much like between 5.7 and 6 gigahertz. Usually when you run 3D benchmark, your CPU is going lower than what you can do in SuperPi. It's not the same kind of stress on the computer. Although the GPU frequency, on the card, that was the 290X. Most of them use the 290X Lighting card from MSI. As we can see, Airbus and MaxCDM, they are both running at 1.6 gigahertz on the GPU, exactly the same frequency for us both, and 1.6 gigahertz on the memory that is on the video card. There's actually like 60 megahertz difference in the memory frequency for both of them, but still Airbus still managed to score about 70,000 points more, and that's actually make a big difference. The difference is in the tweaking, as we say for SuperPi. So we can say by this qualification that Airbus is actually tweaking a lot of systems. Maybe he did a lot of runs to improve over time. It's like a track. It's like a race track when you're playing, I don't know, like the game from Nadeo. You run the track, and every time you run the track, you know exactly where to go, a bit deeper on the edge, and then you gain score at the end, and then in the end you're still faster, and that's the goal of
exactly.
this.
Yeah, every turn, so every phase of the benchmarks might require different frequency or temperature on the CPU in terms of how cold or how slightly warm it should be, and this is where you can actually make a difference between a better or worse run at the exact same frequencies.
Yeah. If we look at the other scores, just quickly, Gunslinger is the fourth best scores, and actually it was still at 1.4 gigahertz. Actually, his score is better than than Redmax and FTW. But the thing is, it was running higher frequency on the. It was running lower frequency on the GPU. So that's actually quite interesting to see what happened there.
Yep, that's true. So, in terms of Heaven, for example, the things worked exactly the same way. Even though you can notice from the submissions that everyone was running much lower CPU frequencies. Like we're talking about like 6 to 7% less overclocking on CPU, right?
There's a reason for that. The reason is Unigiant even we call the benchmark Heaven DirectX 11, but it's Unigiant Heaven DirectX 11 preset.
Yes.
The way this benchmark works, it's strongly scaling on GPU frequency. So the more you overclock your graphic cards, the higher scores you get. If you have to compare that with SuperPi, so SuperPi 32M is actually only CPU based. You can even use crab graphic cards that doesn't impact at all. It's only CPU based calculation. 3D Mark 03 is a bit more balanced. So it's still a GPU benchmark, so a graphic benchmark, but you need your CPU to send as many data as you can. So you need to avoid like bottlenecks in the middle. So that's why it's quite balanced on the 3D Mark 03 right now. And even DirectX 11 is actually purely GPU. So the CPU frequency doesn't matter much. So most of the guys just don't spend sometimes to and it's less difficult to maintain your CPU at 5.8, 5.7 rather than 6 GHz. It's less to the edge, so it's easier to not make mistake on that. And
sure, and in that way you can focus more on your actual graphics performance and graphics overclocking.
Yeah, indeed. So if we look at the first score from Herbois, once again he's first. He was actually scoring the first top score in all the 3 stages of this Class A America qualification. His CPU frequency is like 5.7. It's actually one of the highest, 5.6 and something. It's one of the highest for this run, but that was not the biggest issue because his graphic cards was running at 5.8. No, there's an issue, sorry. I was saying...
It's his
no,
CPU.
1.6. That's his CPU, 5.8.
Well, Trouffman, the day we see a graphics card running at 5.8...
Oh man, that's gonna be insane.
Tell me.
So it was running his memory, his graphic cards at 1.6 gigahertz over the run. Keep in mind, guys, these are special frequency that they do need some special cooling and some special settings to be applied to be running. You cannot run that frequency on your computers like the one you have right now to watch this show, right? Unless you watch it on your smartphone.
Yeah, also most of the guys they just not just do the overclocking, right? There's also some actually hardwiring modding on the cards and a few things like that. So it's not just the very basic overclocking kind of thing.
Indeed. To wrap up on this, one good information about Unigiant DirectX 11 is the guy that gets the highest clocks gonna win. That's pretty much how it works. So if we look at Herbois, he was at 1.6 gigahertz for the GPU. The GPU is the calculation system on the graphic cards, and 1.7 gigahertz on the memory. As just following him is Mike CDM at 1.6 gigahertz. Then that's gonna be Nacho Arroyo at 1.5. Then the fourth person is 1.525. Actually, there's 25 megahertz more for Redmax rather than Nacho Arroyo, but I do think that's a matter of optimization. We will see. We have an interview with Redmax actually coming up in the next few minutes, so that's gonna be interesting to. I won't tell anything, but I think you have something to say about this Unigiant Heaven run score.
Truth, just play the interview.
Okay, let's go. We're gonna play this interview and come back right after. Welcome guys, welcome back. It seems we have a little issue about the sound from this interview. So Timothée, it's your time
to... later.
Yeah, we're gonna check that a bit later. what we can do next is actually have some information about what's gonna be next in this show. What we're gonna be doing next is presenting a kind of hardware that the guys could have used to qualify in Class B.
So this is, for example, not the hardware that the guys are going to compete on during the live finals, but this is something you could actually have bought yourself and actually gotten to compete for the finals. So we're going to have a look in a few minutes on that hardware, for example, and the idea here is to show you which are the different parts that are actually the best or the most recommended to use for qualifying, and then also mount that system, put it together, and during that time we will be taking a few minutes to answer Q&A questions, and if you guys have some questions on the live stream about hardware parts or MSI MOA related qualification needs or requirements or things like that. And
or
after
even
that,
what is overclocking? We can explain that again. There is no issue in that.
Exactly. So we're going to do that, and the purpose of this is once we have that system mounted in 2 weeks, then we can show you actually how to clock it to 4 gigahertz or more, depending on how Trouffman you're feeding it, because you have the system, right? But going up to 4 gigahertz, you will see it's pretty easy. It's something pretty much everybody with like a 4770K can achieve on a machine without actually necessarily upgrading their cooling. So they can just simply use their existing air cooler, if they have an air cooler, or their water cooling system as an all-in-one or a custom one, and overclock it to 4 gigahertz quite easy. Then following that, what we are going to unveil is the winner of the first giveaway. We're going to also show you another giveaway that is going to take place this week. So
that's gonna be a second one. So we're gonna have one for each show, or?
Well, you know, like we've got a bunch of stuff that we can use for the show. So why not just giving it away instead of keeping it in the stack and after a while not knowing anymore how to use all this? So I'd rather just maybe give one to every show. I'm not too sure yet. I will see, like, because I really like the X-Power boards. I might just keep that one for myself.
Okay guys, let's take a quick break and we come back in a few minutes.
MSI, innovation with style.
All right, welcome guys back. Welcome back, guys. Sorry, it is 2 a.m. here, and I'm getting a little bit tired. All right, so Trouffman, you got something special for us. Like we were saying, we have what we want to show you is the gears that you guys could use, for instance, to qualify for through the Class B qualifiers, right? So Trouffman, what do you got?
So indeed, the Class B, you can still compete until the 31 of August. To compete there, you need some special hardware, and we do have all the hardware here that we can use to compete for this Class B. So let's start. I will just lay down and get the things. So first, you need a Z97 MSI mainboard from MSI, of course.
So actually, this one you could use it for Class A as well.
Yeah. This one you can use for Class A also. Yeah, that's right. For Class B, you can use the Z97 or the Z87 MSI mainboard. Of course, we got the biggest one, the best one, the flagship one, the best of the best of the best of the best of MSI. And actually, this one is the Z97 X-Power AC. So that's the flagship mainboard. It's a bit more over 400 USD price point. This mainboard is specifically designed for overclockers. There's some special features. You can have like special button on the mainboard to overclock your CPU and so on.
Yeah, so actually, if you guys are asking yourself why is it yellow, it's because at MSI all the OC products are yellow, else the gaming products are red, and all the entry-level products are blue. So that's why.
The next things I will actually switch to another camera because I have it running right now. It's this is the MSI GeForce 750 VGA card. So that's one of the cards that the guys need to be using for the Class B qualification. Actually, I cannot show it to you right now because it's actually running on the computer, and that's the X-Power we just talked. That's the main board that we could be using to qualify for this.
So what kind of memory are you using on that system, Drew?
On that system, I'm using the G-Skill Trident X memory. It's a 2400 rated memory, so it's quite high-end actually. It's not the top one that is extremely expensive, but this one is actually 2 times 4 gigabytes, so it's 8 gigabytes of memory. And in all these you can actually have some special timings. So this one is C10, so that's how they qualify the memory. Along with that, I'm using the Kingston HyperX SSD. It's a 120 gigabyte SSD. And I'm using the Cooler Master V1200 PSU. That PSU is the platinum one.
So that PSU is a PSU I remember that we've seen in most of the OC events at Computex already this year.
That was actually the exact same one that we saw at Computex, exact same reference. So during Computex, if for the new guys that are just coming to the Twitch channel, because we might have been on the front page sometimes tonight. What was Computex and how was the overclocking? So overclocking is pretty much how you boost your computer to gain more performances, and during Computex, that is one of the top 3 IT fair about hardware computing. There was a lot of overclocking event with liquid nitrogen and so on, and during this Computex, most of the guys were using this PSU, so it's actually well tested and actually quite strong. One last things, I'm using this CPU. That's the G3258 CPU from Intel. This CPU is a special CPU. It's the Intel Pentium Anniversary. So this is the only Pentium CPU that is unlocked, so you can change the multiplier to go higher in frequency. So that is actually the system I'm using right there. I think we have I made some presentation earlier today about what is the hardware by itself. So we're gonna take few Q&A on the chat. So if you guys have any question about the hardware we are using, about the hardware that is required to go on the qualification process, how this setup is running, stuff like this, we're gonna take the next few minutes to answer you on the live while you see exactly what it is about this hardware. Welcome back, guys. So it seems that we have some issues with our sounds tonight. What I will do is over the next few minutes I will drive you around this setup. So the computer you just saw by my side, actually the one that you can see right now in the small section right here, is actually the finished setup that I was actually mounting right there on the side of this camera. So first of all, we took the MSI's D97 mainboard. This mainboard was is by of course made by MSI, and of course, as we all know, this one is the LGA 1150 socket. So that means all the latest CPUs from Intel will be running on that.
So like on this one, you're mounting the anniversary edition CPU, right?
Yeah, indeed. I'm using the G3258 CPU. So as we say, all the setup that you can see actually being mounted here is the one you can use to compete in Class B. In terms of price required for that, the mainboard is quite expensive. That is actually almost 50% of the total price of the system. This mainboard is over 400 USD. You can buy it online. It's available on the market. You can have it. If you want to compete in Class B with lower requirement hardware, like for hardware you can buy for cheaper, you can use the Z87 M-Power, for example, or M-Power Max that I do actually have here.
Yep.
So on the video on my side, you can also see that I was mounting the main board, the CPU, then the CPU cooler on it. The CPU cooler is just a basic one. It's just to make sure that everything is working and just setting up, installing my operating systems. That's how I always go before doing some extreme overclocking or changing. On the left side between the PSU and the CPU, I was using some G-Skill memory, the G-Skill Trident X, the 2400 megahertz rating, and that was the C10. So it's a 2 times 4 gigabyte stick, and that was actually how I mounted that. Although, as you can see, I was using the Kingston HyperX SSD, a 120 gig SSD for that. And the PSU was the Cooler Master V1200, as we say. I can actually tell you a bit more about this PSU because this PSU is, of course, 1200 watts. It's a single rail design.
So, Truth, what does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what is single rail? So that means there is one system that to take care of all the voltage below. In a computer, you need 3 kinds of voltage: 12 volts, 5 volts, and 3.3 volts. Nowadays, most of the big PSU, like all the one above 1000 watts, are using single rail design. So that means you get your plug in your home or wherever you bench. You go to the PSU. This PSU transforms from alternative current to direct currents, and that means you go from 110 or 220 volts to 12 volts, and from there you go to 12, 5, and 3.2 volts. So that's what it means by being single rail. Also, there is 12 connectors for PCI Express, so that means I can plug a 4-way SLI system on my computers. I will of course be using 4 graphic cards from MSI, either from the OC series or the gaming series. And there is a few other stuff. They have a special features that is called the hybrid fan. So the hybrid fan is something that once you plug it, you can choose auto or hybrid. It's like a switch. If it's auto, that's like everyone else. You have your fan running. But if you go hybrid, it's gonna be fanless. So the fan's gonna stop, and the PSU by itself gonna know when it needs to run. So as long as the PSU need the fans, it will be off. So that means 0 noise. So that's actually quite interesting to see. And what else can we see about that? Oh yes, it's 80 plus platinum certified. And for you guys that just came on the stream or that I'm not used to all this marketing term, 80 plus is the certification process that makes sure that your PSU is not wasting power for nothing. 80 plus platinums mean that even if you use only 10% of the load of the PSU, it's still efficient by more than 90%. So that means it's more efficient, less waste of electricity, and so on, even if you're not using much your computers. As you can see, I was plugging all the setup right there on the systems, and I think we can go back live because actually I was not doing anything else after that. So Timothée, it's gonna be back to you now.
Yeah, so that system truth is the one you're gonna use in 2 weeks to show everyone how to reach 4 gigahertz very easy, right?
Yeah, indeed. In the next show that is actually happening in 2 weeks, in August 16th, if I'm right.
Yes.
I will be using this very setup to overclock the G3258 to some frequency. We're gonna try to go the highest as we can. I do expect to do at least 4.2. That's something that everyone can do. And after, actually, I really want to go even higher than that. And there's although one thing, it's like this setup can go higher, but we have another setup in the next few shows. That's gonna be in 2 shows, and that's gonna be a huge gaming system. And this gaming system will be using the Gaming 9 motherboard from MSI, a 4690K from Intel, that's the latest as well CPU from this year, a 780 Lightning graphic cards from MSI. So that's going to be a huge setup, and I will still be using the Cooler Master PSU, the Kingston SSD, and G-Skill memory.
All right. So what I'm suggesting now is that we take a quick break and then we come back to announce the winner of the giveaway.
Sure.
Bye guys, and let's we're back.
It's not our day. We're having a lot of problem with the sound.
Or Europe.
So this is for the Class A EMEA. There is Moose 83, Dan Cobb, John White, Strategosan, Vivi, and Bud Eric that did actually participate in this qualification so far. For my expectation for this round, I know that Dan Cobb is already out because he burned his best CPU. So he will not be able to compete in this qualification. So actually the scores that he have here are supposed to be the latest one. And if we check back, actually Moose 83 have a lot of chance to qualify and compete. John White is from Kazakhstan, and I think he deserves some chance to go. Strategosan is quite strong. I mean, he was in some overclocking event, live overclocking event last year. He's actually from France and is actually quite strong. I do expect Vivi, of course, to be competing there and to qualify. He was actually qualified last year, and he broke some record last year on Cinebench.
Right, so now let's have a look at the APAC region, and this one is going to finish on the end of August. So this region APAC represents Asia as a whole, so it includes all the regions like China, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, but also Indonesia, all the Southeast Asia countries, Malaysia, Singapore, all those parts of Asia. So in Class APAC, right now there's not that many people, but there's still quite a lot of time for them to enter the competitions. Right now we have 3 people, but among them there's some familiar faces already, right, Trouffman?
Yeah, so Royal Flush is from Indonesia, Ose Winforce is from Korea, and that is a familiar face, and Jizel Il is although the third guy competing in this. That actually the guy that did submit score in this qualifier so far. They still have a month to go. That qualifier opened just 2 days ago, so they are quite fast on the system. It's actually fun to see OC Winforce competing in Class A APAC, because he's actually going to all the overclocking event with his friend from Korea, Little Boy. So it's always Little Boy and OC Winforce.
Yeah, so one in the other, someone in a Class A and the other one in Class B. Since we are talking about Class B now, when is a Class B finishing? That will be end of August as well, at the exact same time when Class A APAC is going to finish. So those two those two qualifiers are going to be bundled into one show, which is going to be held at the end of August. So right now, let's have we can have probably a quick. Well, we can have a quick look still at who is in that Class B, right? So Class B, like I mentioned, it's easier access hardware because you can enter with hardware from a year ago, which is the Z87 platform. And for this, for example, as you can see, there's a few more overclockers already.
So indeed, there's Michel 90 from Switzerland, Madros from France, and actually that's quite funny too. Madros is usually benching with Strategosan, so it's actually fun to see that one of the guys competing Class A and the other guy competing Class B. So that's the same as our Korean friends. Korean friends, that Little Boy, they're actually taking the 3rd spot on this qualification. We have only one Australian guy, Fatboy Not So Slim. Although one thing that I want to mention is a Canadian in the ranking, mind-blowing G. For the record, last week during the show last week, that was the guy benching behind me. So he was at my place doing some testing and trying to get qualified for the competitions.
Yeah. So it was not just some random anonymous guy you hired from the street to just do something in the back and pretend like, hey, he's overclocking something.
Of course
he was actually qualifying for MOA.
Of course not. It was actually quite fun to have him here. He was using his own hardware, his own 3258 CPU. So we had together both the same system, and we're trying to see which one is going higher than the others. But I cannot compete, so that was just to push him to submit better scores.
All right, so now let's move on to the part that everyone is waiting. The announcement of the giveaway winner. Trouffman, send me the jingle quickly so we can have a bit of drama action before I actually tell you who won. All right, welcome back guys. Sorry, I did that mistake again. So who won the first giveaway? So that first ever giveaway that we're organizing were to win Gaming 7 motherboard by MSI, and the winner is Mr. Drumrolls, John Brooks. All right, so congratulations, John. Well done. So if you guys have, actually, if you're asking yourself how we did draw the winner, we looked at everyone that had the correct answer, of course, but because there were about 300 people that had the correct answer out of 500 and something entries, we just did a random number generator and hit that number in the list, and yeah, John Brooks, you won. So congrats, we're going to send you the prize in the upcoming few weeks. And now it is time to announce our second giveaway.
So what is actually our second giveaway? What are we gonna offer you guys to, and what is the question?
Well, I've saw already some leaks on social networks in the past few days, and if you have been attentive, you probably saw them as well. And we are going to give away a graphic card. So it's going to be a GTX 760.
The correct name is the MSI N760 TF2GD5/OC.
Yeah, me, I call it GTX 750 because I love that name. And yeah, so that graphics card is up for grabs this week, and because the next show is in 2 weeks, you guys actually have 2 weeks to enter the competition. The way it works is exactly the same than last time. Go over to our Facebook page, make sure to hit like before you can enter the competition and enter the correct answer to the question. The question for this week is, who did won the American qualifiers? And here I'm awaiting one answer, one person. So it means I'm looking at the first spot of the qualifiers. I probably told already too much, right?
Yeah, I think it's not gonna be too difficult to win these graphic cards. So don't forget, guys, if you want to have more chance to win this giveaway, head over to our Facebook page. There is a Road to MSI MOA show episode 2 giveaway. So answer the question for your last name, first name, last name, type your email, answer the question, and don't forget, for every share you do with your friends, the more you spread the word, the more chance you have to win this. So you have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's gonna be running until the next show. You have 2 weeks to actually compete and maybe win something.
Indeed, one bonus entry for every entry shared. All right, so now let's move on to the final part of this show, where we are going to pretty much announce when is the next episode exactly, and a few more details about the upcoming episode.
And welcome back, guys. This is almost the end of our show. Before we let everyone go, don't forget we're gonna still be on the Twitch chat for quite some time after this show is over. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask us. The question was, when is the next show? So the next show gonna be in 2 weeks. That's gonna be August 16th. That's gonna be at 1 p.m. EST. So for everyone living in the east side of America, that's gonna be at 1 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. That's gonna be 7 p.m. in Europe, pretty much.
So yeah, we are doing it actually at 7 p.m. in Europe because those are the finals of the European qualifiers, right? So we have to do it at prime time, European time, and because I will be here in Europe, I will have also along with me Peter Massman from HWBot, and probably also Roman from
don't say too much.
Well, yeah, you will see, guys. A lot of surprise for in 2 weeks. Also, we're gonna have a little OC presentation. We already talked about that, where Trouffman is going to show us some 4 gigahertz action. So this is going to be some simple action on MSI gear, how to overclock it to 4 gigahertz. And of course, we're going to review all the rankings for the qualifiers.
So if we what can we expect in the 2 weeks? So that's gonna be this OC show, and we will be having the EMEA final, but we're gonna be going on the APAC and worldwide final also, worldwide qualification. So in these 2 will be still running for 2 weeks after our next show. So don't forget, you guys can still compete inside, and actually you guys can still compete to get something, the N760 from MSI on our giveaway.
Indeed, there's plenty of room left in Class B if you guys were from America, right? You still have all your chances. All right, so now let's wrap up this show. I would like to thank you all guys for being with us tonight. Trouffman, thanks a lot for being here with me. I think I had a great time with you.
I do like it. It was fun, and I think this kind of event and show is something we deserve in the overclocking community.
Oh yeah, it's very cool. It's a very great way to know what's going on. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel, share and spread the love about our marvelous giveaway, and best luck to all of you. And we will be seeing you in 2 weeks right here, right on this channel. Don't forget, Trouffman.
Keep pushing it.
And that's it. Bye bye, guys.